Erin, I'm excited that you're here to share with us about everything blockchain and how that can help us with food safety. Erin Vincent.
Thanks, Monty. So I am a software developer working currently in the agriculture industry. And so I get to see a lot of exciting things at the intersection of technology and agriculture. Today my presentation is called Romaine Calm, Blockchain to the Rescue. So how many of us have eaten romaine lettuce recently? Probably a lot of us, right? Maybe even at dinner last night. I was looking carefully and I wasn't sure. But how many of us are also aware that there has been some significant issues with romaine lettuce recently in regards to E. coli? Okay. And actually, specifically in this area of California, there's an issue going on right now. So I want us to talk today about an outbreak that happened in 2018. This was one of the most significant outbreaks recently. There were 36 states involved, 210 people that got sick, and 5 people actually died in this outbreak. And we're going to take a look at the timeline of this outbreak. And I want you to pay attention to how long it takes from the day that somebody gets sick until we know what happened. Okay, day 1, March 13th, 2018, the first person gets sick with E. coli. And then we've got 28 days later, the outbreak is announced. After enough people have gotten sick, they realize there's a problem going on, right? Day 31 is April 13th. They're able to identify a possible source of the E. coli romaine lettuce grown in the Yuma, Arizona area. And then day 37, they confirm, okay, the sick people, they're all saying they ate romaine lettuce. Let's tell consumers, don't eat romaine lettuce grown in Yuma, Arizona. That's day 37. Day 107, the outbreak is declared over. And then day 233 is November 1st, 2018, when the FDA comes out with their report on what happened in this outbreak. And they actually weren't able to determine where the contaminated lettuce came from because it was all mixed together. They were able to figure out that the E. coli came from an irrigation canal, but they weren't able to figure out how did that dirty canal water get onto the lettuce that that person ate. Let's take a look at this diagram. This is fascinating. This is the traceback diagram of this E. coli outbreak. On the left-hand side, we have the points of service where people purchase the contaminated lettuce. And on the right-hand side, we have all the fields that the lettuce was grown in. So there's a couple things I want to point out about this diagram. One is it's not a straight line from the field to the consumer, right? There's lots of people involved. It's a complex supply chain. There's lines that cross. There's a lot of parties involved. Another thing to point out is you can see there are solid lines and dotted lines. Now, the solid lines in this diagram represent cases where the FDA was able to find records, and as they were trying to trace back where this lettuce had come from, they referred to records to do so. And the dotted lines were cases where there were no records. So my guess is they conducted interviews or something to come to these conclusions, but there were actually no records to go on. That just made the investigation very complicated, as you might imagine. So they had some things to say in this report. They weren't able to figure out exactly where the lettuce had come from because it came from many places and was mixed together. They talked about how the supply chain was really complex, and they talked about having to collect this documentation from each point along the supply chain. And surprisingly enough, they found that when there were records, they were mostly paper or handwritten. Okay, so that was November 1st. The report comes out. We kind of find out what happened, but not really, right? And then November 22nd, not even a month later, the FDA is in the news again announcing another outbreak of E. coli. This is a different outbreak, a different strain. And this comes 2 days before Thanksgiving. So people are told just get rid of the lettuce that you have. February 13th, we're now in 2019, the FDA releases the findings of this second outbreak. And this time they were able to figure out where the lettuce had come from, but there were still a lot of problems. They talked about how there was a lack of identifying packaging to help them trace this back. They pick up some lettuce or a package of salad in the store and they can't figure out where did this come from. We don't see that on the package. And just a general lack of the traceability records they need to be able to compile that diagram that we looked at. So they asked the industry to provide some better information, and the industry responded, the leafy greens industry. They started putting different labels on packages, and you may have seen some of these things. I started, because I'm weird and I'm into this apparently, when I go to the grocery store, I've started taking pictures of things that I've seen, and I've seen these recently. These were from that time in 2018. So here's a picture of my grocery store just saying, hey, we've removed all the romaine lettuce from the shelf because it's not safe to eat, so that's why you don't see any here. This is a screenshot of the Chick-fil-A app on my phone saying that some menu items are not going to be available because there's this issue with romaine lettuce going on. Here's a package of salad, and you can see in that printed label that it says no romaine included. So they've felt it necessary to reassure consumers, don't worry, there's no romaine in this salad mix. Another paper taped up here saying, okay, now all the lettuce we're selling is safe. It's from outside of the region of concern. And then finally a package of romaine, and here they've put a label on here telling us that it was grown in Yuma, Arizona, and it was harvested on November 26th. So it's an improvement, right? There's more information. You can know where this comes from, when it was harvested. But what does that not tell me or you as a consumer when you pick that up in the store? Doesn't tell you if it's safe to eat, right? It's an improvement, but it's not an answer. So the FDA recognizes this, and they are asking the industry to respond and to start using some new technologies that will enable food traceability from farm to fork. So today I want to talk a little bit about one of those technologies, and that is blockchain. Now, you may have heard of blockchain in relation to cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, that was just mentioned, which is a digital currency. And how does that relate to lettuce? Well, so the technology behind Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is blockchain. But blockchain technology can be applied to a lot of different things, such as food traceability. And so I'll be talking a lot more about that tomorrow, what this technology is, how it's different from the technology that we typically use, and how it can be applied to different issues in the agriculture industry and food safety specifically. So you may see a lot of headlines in the news about blockchain saying it's going to change everything, it's not going to change anything. There's a lot of opinions. It's definitely a buzzword. We're going to try to clear up some of the confusion around this more in depth tomorrow. I want us to take a look at a little thing to help us frame blockchain. We're going to compare it to the World Wide Web, which for all intents and purposes, the World Wide Web, the internet, kind of how we use it today, really started in 1991. And here's a listing of the most popular websites today and when they came out in relation to when the World Wide Web started. And here is blockchain. So we've got 2008 with the advent of Bitcoin is when blockchain starts. In 2015, we have some more developments that I'll talk about more tomorrow, and then here we are today in 2020. So in the lifespan of blockchain, Facebook, YouTube, and Netflix don't even exist. So basically this goes to say that it's very early, right? Probably some of the most popular applications of blockchain have not been invented yet and certainly aren't popular yet. These numbers here just represent when those things started, not when they reached their peak of popularity, right? So. Okay, let's take a look at these pictures again. So we've got a printed piece of paper taped up here in the store, and we've got a label kind of slapped on this package. Does this look like 2020 to you? Right? In an age where we have smart devices, smart homes, instant access to information on the internet, and this is the consumer's experience with food safety in the grocery store. So I want to help you imagine some possibilities today that are possible right now and are going to become more possible in the future through blockchain technology. So first would be obviously instant traceability. That's number one, right? We shouldn't have to take months, like we saw in that case study, to figure out what is going on, where our food is coming from, and where the source of the problem is. And blockchain can help enable that. Okay, taking that a step further, what if we scan a barcode or a QR code on a package of food, scan it with our phone in the store, and we can see immediately whether or not that's safe to eat? So instead of having to interpret that label about where it was grown and when it was harvested, just scan something and see it's safe to eat, see where it came from, the history of that food, all right there, just in the store with your phone. What about smart store shelves? What if we put RFID tags in food packaging and we had shelves that could read them, so that the shelves were cognizant and aware of what they contained? So this could help, for example, a store manager to know where the food is in his or her store that's affected. So it could tell you, okay, on aisle 5, shelf number 2, this product is, the shelf recognizes that this product is unsafe. It's part of a recall or it's expired, something like that. Taking that another step further, what about an aware checkout? So whether it's self-checkout or a cashier helping you scan that item, and its barcode is smarter than what we have today, or it's a QR code that's being scanned, and it pops up and tells you, hey, this is not safe to eat, this is expired, stopping you from buying that product. What if you already bought the product and it's already sitting in your fridge at home? Well, we could do some recent purchase alerts. So most of us these days, we use loyalty programs where we shop, whether it's grocery stores or restaurants, right? In some way, we're connecting our contact information to our purchase information. What if we could opt into sharing that information to enable something like a recent purchase alert? Hey, we saw you just bought this lettuce at the store a couple days ago. Well, there's this incident now, so we're texting you or emailing you to tell you, don't eat that, throw it away. Okay, what about smart home integration? So rather than receiving a text or an email, what if your fridge has a display screen on it and it shows you the contents? So there's smart fridges right now that have cameras in them that can see what you have in your fridge and recommend a recipe for you. Seriously, they have cameras you can pull up on your phone. You can see on your phone that you have milk in your fridge. Like say you're out at the store and you can't remember if you have it. You could just like view your fridge from your phone. Why not integrate some food safety features into something like that so that your fridge also is aware of your food and can tell you if there's a problem with it? Could also be beyond the fridge too. You could have a smart home hub that could also sense like a bigger area, like even in your pantry or something. Okay, finally, what about data-backed illness reporting? So taking all of these things together and thinking about that process of the E. coli outbreak and how people had to go to their doctor and say, hey, I'm sick, and then they're diagnosed with E. coli, and then this investigation ensues, and they're asked, okay, what did you eat yesterday and then the previous week? And, oh, I don't know. Like, they have to remember it, right? And we're relying on humans to remember what they've eaten. What if we could opt into sharing some of that data that I talked about before, our purchase history, and as other people did that as well, we could allow computers to analyze that and tell us, hey, everyone who's sick, they all ate at this restaurant, or they all shopped at this store and they bought this type of lettuce. Imagine how much that could accelerate this process of investigating an outbreak like that. So that's the reason I see a lot of potential with blockchain technology, and I think we can remain calm for the moment. Blockchain's coming to the rescue, and I'm excited to talk more about it tomorrow. Thanks.